Of course, concerned as he was about household costs, the king was also concerned about government costs, and when George came to the throne, the government was costing a great deal. England had been fighting a long and expensive war, and when it was over, the question was how to pay the bills. Finally, government officials suggested that one way to raise money was to tax Americans. What a good idea, King George said. After all, the French and Indian part of the war had been fought on American soil for the benefit of Americans, so why shouldn't they help pay for it? The fact that Americans had also spent money and lost men in the war didn't seem important, nor did the fact that Americans had always managed their own money up to now. They were English subjects, weren't they? Didn't English subjects have to obey the English government? So in 1765, a stamp tax was laid on certain printed items in America. King George was amazed that Americans objected. He was flabbergasted that they claimed he had no right to tax them, just because they had no say in the matter, just because they had no representatives in the English government. What was more, Americans refused to pay. If they agreed to one tax, they said, what would come next? A window tax? A tax on fireplaces? Now King George believed that, above all, a king should be firm. But the government had the vote, and in the end it voted to repeal the tax. Still, King George was pleased about one thing: the government stood firm on England's right to tax the colonies. And in 1767, the government tried again. This time the tax was on lead, tea, paint, and a number of items England sold to America. Part of the money from the tax was to be used to support an English army to keep order in America. Part was to pay governors and judges previously under the control of the colonies. Who could object to that? King George asked. The Americans did. They hated the whole business so much, especially the English soldiers stationed in their midst, that even when the other taxes were repealed and only the tea tax remained, they would not put up with it. When tea arrived in Boston, they dumped it into Boston Harbor. When he heard this news, King George felt more like a father than he ever had in his life, a father of a family of very, very disobedient children. And of course, he must punish them. So he closed the port of Boston and took away the right of Massachusetts to govern itself. Firm, firm, firm. From now on, he would be firm after the Battle of Lexington and the Battle of Bunker Hill. King George said he felt strong as a lion. People would soon see, he said, that Americans would back down, meek as lambs.